We're live out here, guys. We're sitting down with Daniel Pesina from legendary Mortal Kombat franchise. You guys know him best as Johnny Cage.
Yes.
But he's also the entire ninja clan from the Kombat series, essentially.
Yeah.
Daniel,
Thanks for having me,
dude,
Forge.
Thanks for being
Forge
here, man.
fans.
Yeah.
Nice.
Killing it at Game On Expo. It's Saturday, probably the biggest and busiest day of the expo. How's it treating you so far, man?
Yeah, it's always good. Coming out to the events never sucks. You're always taken care of. You meet people that you thought you'd never meet. And you make a connection.
That's essentially what Forged is all about. And thank you, because we are just starting this whole show forged around the concept of sitting down with awesome people across the media spectrum and essentially asking them what forged your path in the industry. So if you don't mind, man, tell us a little about what was the moment that got you started as an actor, as a character actor, as a member of the Mortal Kombat family.
Yeah, actually, it all started with when I was younger. I was watching a show. I'm old, so there was a Charlie Chan. He's a detective, and during one episode, he used judo on the guy.
Nice.
On one of the opponent. He threw the opponent. I was like, "Holy cow, that's really, really cool." And my dad served in the Army.
Nice.
He served in Korea in the U.S. Army. And my dad was like, "Oh, they taught me a few moves." And so my dad taught me my first judo move,
That's
and
awesome.
I just fell in love with martial arts from then on. Then we watched. I was watching the Green Hornet, and I wanted.
Yeah, man.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce
I wanted
Lee,
to
of course.
always, always try to do that. And
So-
even to this day, my parents are like, "Oh, it's a waste of a college education." But
Right.
I can pay the mortgage. I'm doing all right.
Nice.
Right.
What martial arts did you practice?
At the time, I did judo, but it's 1969.
Sure.
So when my dad took me for judo lessons, he had to lie about my age because nobody under the age of 13 could take a martial art. There was no kids class. So when I took it with people who were 13 and over, and I was like 9 years old. But my dad lied. But it's pretty funny because my dad fibbed, but the instructor looked at me, and he looked at my dad, and he's like, "Okay, sir."
Nice.
He just believed my dad straight out,
Awesome.
Gonna let this
because
one
I did
go.
not look like
Yeah.
I was 13, but I really wanted to do it.
And how'd you hold your own in class with the age gap? What was that like?
I think that's what really forged my success.
That's
is,
great, man.
is
Got
because
thrown
I was smaller, not as strong.
Yeah.
So luckily, one of my brothers, I have two older brothers, one younger who's Raiden, and one of my brothers had a friend who was also an assistant instructor. So that guy, Pete Cardenas, took me under his wing and really trained me on the techniques. So that way I can, because I'm not stronger, I actually had to use technique and the science of martial art to be the equalizer.
Yeah.
And that is what,
Dude, that's so cool.
it.
I took 3 years of judo, and I was same thing. Two older brothers. I was always the tiniest kid in school.
What?
And so it was like I had to learn, technique. You're throwing people, that are
Yeah.
way bigger than you in judo.
Yeah.
And
Use their
so-
weight against them, right?
Exactly, man. It was,
Yeah,
it was a great time.
it is a science.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's,
So are you still practicing today, or?
Yeah, I still practice today.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Try to do it every day, except for when I'm at conventions. Then I
Yeah.
just it's a vacation.
Right.
Unless you have an unruly fan who gets too close, then you're gonna whip out the judo.
Actually, it's never,
finish him.
It's never really happened, I think, because when my fans approach, they call me the master. They're always like, "Oh man," they call me the master or master.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's more like it's like the cross over from Star Wars, because I'm a martial art master,
Yeah.
and they think they're Padawan or
Sure,
fellow
sure.
Jedis, and I'm
Right.
the master.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Yoda. I'm old like Yoda.
Yeah. So tell us the story, kind of how Mortal Kombat came to be. You were saying late night pitch session.
Yeah, John Tobias, the creator of Mortal Kombat, we used to play Dungeons and Dragons together when we were in the neighborhood.
Nice.
We collected comics, and
Awesome.
we were geeky.
Yeah.
Kids. The only thing is, at spare time, him and my brother would draw. I would do martial arts at the time. All day long. So eventually he called myself and Rich and my brother up, and he's like, "Hey, I got an idea for a game. I want to pitch it to Midway. That's where I'm working right now." And I'm like, he's like, "Will you help me?" And I was like, "Sure. I would. I could help you." And he's like, at the time, I had a corporate job, and he's like, "Okay, come to the studio at 10:30 at night." And I was like, we call each other Boop. And I'm like, "Boop, I'm asleep by then. I got to wake up and go to work.
That's
And
right.
he's like, yeah, but I don't want anybody to steal my ideas about a fighting
So
game.
it's totally underground at that
Right,
point.
because even back then, it's a cutthroat industry. You know,
Yeah.
it still is today, but it's
Sure.
still way
Yeah.
back then. It was actually his own company he was holding this secret to.
Yeah.
So we filmed some video for this game, and he presented it to the management, including Ed, and they basically thought that it was not a good idea. But they liked the idea of a fighting game, and they were going to approach Van Damme. Recently, they asked Van Damme to do a fighting game, not a fighting game, but a game around, what was the Cyborg? Cyborg.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That was
Yeah,
back then.
cyborg-based
Right.
game. But now they were going to turn it into a mainstream like fighting game where Van Damme beats everybody up.
Right.
And I was kind of upset because during the pitch I told them, because it was going to be a small project, 200 cabinets. I
Sure.
insisted that the ninjas, John had Japanese ninjas, and I was like, no, dude, they have to be Lin Kuei.
Yeah.
And John's like, Lin Kuei, I never heard of that. And I was like, yeah, because they're ninjas, and you're not supposed
You
to
got all the
hear about
background,
ninjas.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, where can I get this? I was like, oh, they have a book. And he's like, can I borrow the book? And I'm like, I collect comic books. So I'm like, no, because if I
Yeah.
give you the book, I'll
Right.
never see it back. You never lend your comic books
Yeah,
out that you
man.
want back.
Right.
So I was like, no, but we can go to the store and you can pick up the book and read about it yourself. So we went out and bought the book and
Nice.
we decided that, the ninjas, every time you see ninjas, that's my idea.
That's
At
so
least the way
great.
they're dressed.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact
I
that
love
they're
it.
Lin Kuei
It's so
is-
iconic now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
is that. So I was upset that they were going to give that idea in a Van Damme game because I didn't
Yeah,
work for
right.
Midway, and I was like, I wanted to be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something, a bigger part of it.
That's your
You know what
direct
I mean?
contribution to it.
Yeah, but that got canceled, and then later on they went to do what we know as Mortal Kombat, but it was only supposed to be 200 arcade cabinets.
Wow.
They kept on telling me, we're going to make 200 cabinets. I was like, you're going to make 201 because you're going to give me a cabinet.
Uh-huh.
And John was like, Boop, you know how expensive they are? He goes, we're not going to give you that. We got no budget,
Oh, man.
Yeah, so it was so low budget that I recall one time, here's an example. I'm going in to film Johnny Cage because he's the father of all characters. We filmed him for we filmed him a lot, 8-hour days for many weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come in, and he's like, you can't come in today. And I was like, why? I already took the day off. And he's like, yeah, but I forgot to ask my father for permission to use the camera. So
wow.
the studio
That's brilliant, man.
didn't even lend us the camera to film. We had to use John
Totally indie.
Tobias'
That's
father
so good, yeah.
to friggin' film
I mean, that's
the
indie
biggest
film
fighting
and-
franchise
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Indie film meets indie game making.
Yeah.
Like, how much more
so
could
it
it be?
was that, but a lot of
Yeah.
most of I would say 90% of the ideas in the first two games were created while we filmed, goofing around.
I love that.
Goofing around each other and stuff like that. I'm babbling. Sorry, I'm taking up all
No,
your time.
that's
that's
fantastic,
brilliant.
dude.
Yeah.
An example
good
is
hearing this.
again, I was telling you guys about the ninjas.
Yeah.
Originally we were gonna have one ninja, and then they wanted two ninjas. So my brother and I started picking on Tobias, saying, "Why are you so lazy, man? Why? We could have Jax in this game, but we
Yeah.
didn't have a real name for Jax. But we could have other characters in this game.
Yeah.
Ninjas.
Yeah, not just ninjas.
Yeah.
And he goes, and that's lazy, just a palette swap. That's not very creative." And then John is like, "Well, you know what? These ninjas are brothers, and one kills the other." And I'm like, and then Carlos chimes in. He's like, "Brothers never fight." And then John was like, "You know what? One of them kills the father, and the other one seeks revenge and kills him. How do you like that?" And I was like, "Holy cow, that's
drama.
awesome!"
Yeah.
And now you have the ninja rivalry, and that's really a rivalry that makes fun of my brother, who is Raiden, and I
That's
working
so
on the game.
cool.
That's
and so your
that's
brother's
brilliant.
Raiden in the game.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So the ninja, obviously the ninjas' rivals are Scorpion and Subzero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that. I was saying before, my favorite character was Subzero.
Yeah,
I just
he's
love
mine
the
too.
icing. I just
Yeah.
love the
Yeah.
sliding in there. And
He's righteous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
yeah.
did that early game? How did that? Did that look a lot like the game that came to be that they were pitching, like when you were filming and they were turning that into a game, or was it just kind of showing what they filmed when they were doing like the pitch sessions?
Well, or an example, we had so many ideas. And
Yeah.
even when I see today's game, I'm like, oh, I came up with that idea in the first game, but we
Wow.
we didn't have the technology.
Couldn't put
to
it
do
in
it.
at the time.
Yeah.
Like originally, John wanted us to have battle worn. So every time I get punched in the face, if I get punched in the face like 3 or 4 times, I have a bruise and I bleed.
Yeah.
And every time I hit, I bleed.
Yeah.
and my uniform gets torn up and stuff like that. And,
and you see that now in the current iterations.
Yeah. And Hosung and I didn't like that idea because we were like, hey, you can't see our face.
Right.
Because we're one of the ones that you see the
big
face.
like red smotch.
And John is laughing. He's like, no, it'll still be you, just bloody.
Just bloody. Just pixelated and bloody.
The funny thing was, even for that time, it was incredible. I mean, playing the game, and it's like, this is so photo-real.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny that it started so indie and so just underground. And even the technology, was it, at the time, doing that kind of style, was that kind of groundbreaking or new, or was that kind of the way you did things?
No, it was the way we did it because we were on the fly.
Yeah.
Like, it was like usually in the studio it was John and I, or John, I, and another actor.
Wow.
You know, once in a while we would have Ed stop by to, help out because, when you're programming a game, Ed had a big hand in making sure that we hit there's hit boxes.
Right.
So that way the reaction to the face is make sure you're doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
But beside the heart of the game was all while filming, everything while filming. An example is like Get Over Here. I showed him a rope dart and move for a character, and Rich was like, oh, that'd be cool if you throw it in the guy's chest and go, get over here.
Yeah.
So even today I laugh because it's Ed paying tribute to Rich, who said get over here while we were filming it.
That's so cool.
So every time it's like he's paying tribute to the creator of Get Over Here.
Yeah.
In his voice, because he did it in a Kano voice.
And so he kind of mimicked that in the...
Yeah, he was mimicking Kano.
Wow,
do you have any recollection? So out of the moves that you had to do, was there a particular position or move that you then was like kind of really crazy or most difficult just to kind of get it? So like you said, get the hit boxes in there, make it look good? Or?
The most difficult thing was just because of low budget. So when we're going to shoot the ninjas, hopefully this answers your question. We're going to shoot the ninjas. John and I go to the store to buy a ninja outfit. And John looks at the ninja outfit, and the adult sizes are much more expensive than the children's sizes. So John is like, let's just get the children extra large, and we'll just put it on you and pin it together so we could save money.
That's hilarious.
Because I think at the time, John might have even been paying to expand the budget.
You
know what I mean? For it, you know? So I'm like, oh, man. I kind of look at him. He's like, whoop, I don't have any money. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So we get this ninja outfit, and the first kick, I ripped the pants.
Oh, my God.
So we're in for filming, so we can't just film the next day. Ron is he's like really the creative and driving force of us doing it. He's letting us goof around and feed the story or things like that. So he's like, okay, I'll get some safety pins. So he goes around the office and he gets 2 safety pins. So we safety pin my pants at the widest point to make sure I can move. And then I go to kick again and a different part rips. So this time, he's like, we don't have any safety pins.
Just wardrobe malfunctions
Move
for days.
slow because I'm going to use straight pins.
Wow.
So a lot of the times when I am doing things with the ninja costume, I am getting pricked by pins, swearing, cussing, kicking stuff around. Because it was like that, and John is like, "Don't worry, just take it for the team, you know." Friggin' doing that. So it was that.
Tell me
those
outtakes have to be somewhere, man. Tell me those are still on tape somewhere.
No, they again, it was so low budget that we used to tape over what we didn't do, just to reuse the tape.
Been there.
I think I have like about 7 hours of surviving footage. The only surviving footage from MK1.
Wow.
Yeah.
In MK2, they got a budget and they went digital, so there's no really behind the scenes for that per se.
Okay.
You know, I know Shang Tsung filmed some a little bit with his personal camera. For his character, but besides that, I don't think there's too much.
Wow.
Of
And
that.
so how did it ultimately end up being picked up? And they're like, yeah, let's greenlight this and make this game.
Again, it was like after we were testing Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
Because he was we friggin' shot him forever.
Yeah.
But he was. Everybody at Midway was like, "Holy shit, this game is friggin' awesome!"
Amazing.
They were like, we only had one character, and everybody's playing it constantly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, just like, all of a sudden, everybody knew me.
Yeah.
And I'd walk in, hey, hey, what's up, Pesina? Hey, are you gonna film today? Yeah, and they would stop by and watch us film.
Dude.
And so, but again, we were only signed up for 200 cabinets.
Yeah.
And I think that was the driving force. They just let us alone.
Yeah.
Because there was only crunch time for time.
Yeah.
We didn't have really budget restraints because
Right.
we didn't friggin' have a budget.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We weren't spending any money.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe pizza money feeding me, but
Yeah.
but two, they just let us create, like John, and John again, 90% is him. And I would say most of the rest of the beginning is myself, Rich, and Carlos, and then later on, when we were filming the fourth character, Ed really liked what we were doing, and he's like, "Oh, can I contribute to it?" We're like, "Yeah, get over here." And so Ed started goofing around with us and helping out about the fourth character, and then for the other games, people were just coming in. You want to be. It was like people wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. All
it
of a
was
sudden.
so cool just to, it wasn't, it was like the personality and the pixels, Tony always
Right.
says. When you see us film, everybody was just so enchanted. Like, we would like be creating stuff or, recalling, because we're all geeks. So they were like, "Oh, you're taking it from that movie,"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful thing, man. Hearing about like humble beginnings and how it is this amazing cultural icon. Mortal Kombat around the world, everybody knows it, but it started with some guys having fun in a place privately, almost clandestine, and it became this amazing thing. It's so many different parallels to indie film, and
Love
you hear
that.
about, it's just that's cool. That's so cool to hear.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah.
The first time you played on the cabinet and you played the game and played yourself, was that just like super surreal?
Yeah, the first time I played, John called me up. He's like, "Boop, you got to get in here. I want to show you something."
Yeah.
So I get to the studio. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Watch this. Play this character." So I'm playing this character, and naturally, he's been playing. He beat the crap out of me, and he's laughing while he's beating the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And was the blood flying at that point in time
Well,
yet?
at the point, because it was still testing,
Yeah.
he knocks my head off, and I kind of reeled back, and the blood is just pouring out of it. And he's like, "Isn't that cool?" And I'm like, "Holy crap! That is like."
Yeah.
Can we do that? And he was like, "Boop, we could do whatever we want."
Wow.
And because it wasn't it was only testing, the blood just came out crazy, and everybody was like, "Oh, we should leave that in like
Wow,
that." But
that's awesome.
Yeah, but that stemmed from, we couldn't do the bruising stuff from the original idea, but we had the idea. We put the idea out there of having blood in the game, and it transformed into having this overabundant blood in the
Geyser,
game.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I think that was a big selling part of the game too.
It was.
Obviously the technology and the way it looked, but then the kind of the gore and the blood factor.
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
first
Something
to
very
just
different,
Put that in
yeah.
the arcade and the public space like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
Yep. That's why, dude, my mom would not let me have it at home. And I told the story to Jeremy and Jesse, right? And she's like, it scared her, man. She was like, that looks real, and there's blood, and oh no. So I'd ride my bike up to the pizza parlor, man, and dump my entire allowance into that thing.
in there.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta have my fix, man. It was.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
funny how they viewed like violence in the video game, but we got all those ideas from like Spielberg or
Oh,
movies
yeah,
were
man.
way
yeah,
worse.
yeah.
Movies from the 80s especially, it was,
nobody ever, Roadrunner is more violent than Mortal Kombat in
Right,
reality.
right.
Bugs Bunny is more,
Sure.
Exploding
Oliver Fudge,
cigars.
Right.
Yeah.
firing people,
Right.
shooting people in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
violent. But politicians need an excuse to
Yeah.
make their money
Roadrunner.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
and avoid work.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Need
Right.
some-
Politicians.
Right. So what are you doing nowadays?
Yeah.
Besides doing a lot of these
Now I'm
conventions.
gonna give my free pitch.
All right.
I
Please.
teach martial arts. MasterPesina.com. You want to get a hold of me, or I'm on Facebook at
That's
Master
awesome.
Pesina,
Okay.
Instagram at Master D Pesina, and Twitter at Master Pesina. So
Okay.
I teach martial arts.
Yeah.
Some of my students do the mocap for the games now,
That's
including my
awesome,
brother.
man.
My brother. I
Awesome.
teach with my brother martial arts still.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that in LA?
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. The home of Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat is Chicago. Everybody who was in the game is from
Yeah.
Chicago, and most of the people from the first game used to play D&D together back in the hood.
That's
Man,
so
I
awesome.
should have worn my Abe Froman Sausage King shirt today from,
Yeah.
what was the freaking movie? I'm drawing it. Matthew, Abe Froman Sausage King of
Oh,
Chicago.
I don't remember, but I know the line.
Someone on Twitter's
Yeah.
going to be like,
That's
dude,
fantastic.
really?
It's this.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
Well, man,
Thanks
thank you
for
so much
having
for
us.
doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having
sharing
me.
your
Forge
story.
ahead.